Welcome back, guys. Hey, this is the Live Healthy MetroEast podcast, and it's been a while actually since we recorded any episodes. And to be perfectly honest, we've been really busy on the back end doing some other things for our company, and we rebranded in the last couple of months. We've been actually recording and logging some backlog on some episodes that will start to trickle out. But today, you have been on the podcast before, but we have Alyssa Halloran-Dawson. She's one of our lead coaches here. She runs our Legends program, which is our 55 and older fitness program. She does personal training, and she runs a program called BirthFit. And today we're actually going to talk a lot about that program. And we've got some new things happening with that program. And so I just wanted to bring Alyssa on and talk a little bit further about what we have going on. So Alyssa, welcome. Thanks for joining me again today.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So as we started this program back in May, but you actually started your certification process. How long was that certification process for you?
8 months of video, podcast listening, writing things out. 8 months. That's how long they want the program to be. So they nail it.
Yeah.
They tackle
Well, yeah, I remember just as you were going through that process, and it's a lot. It is a lot to do, and obviously you're a mother yourself, and your little guy is how old now?
20 months old.
20 months. So he's still in the mode that we still count months. We don't count years yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like
After
I
24 though, I'm done.
I would love to try to figure out like, my son is 7 now. One of my sons is 7. My oldest actually just turned 18 today, which is crazy.
Too many
But
months.
there's too many months. Like I can't say like they're 146 months now. Like I can't, that
Yeah.
doesn't work anymore. So we just have to go by years. But I remember the days of counting months. So very good. I want to ask you this question, and I think it's a jumping off point for us to talk a little bit more about our program here. But what are the major issues that you see with women, either in a prenatal situation, they're leading up to birth, or postpartum after pregnancy? What are the greatest issues you see with women and exercise in those stages?
So definitely prenatal and even in early postpartum, I would honestly say they try to do way too much too soon. And leading up to birth might be a little bit different depending on their fitness background. Leading up to birth, they might stop doing everything when they probably should have continued doing something, but they weren't sure how to do that something, or what they were doing didn't work as they became more pregnant. So, like, I think like cycling and running and some of those things can become very challenging as you become more pregnant. But then, if that's all you've ever done, you don't know where to go from there. And then, pre like postpartum, I think women try to come back so fast or get back to bounce back to what they were previously doing so fast that they have so many more issues. And those issues come up like where I'm at now. So, like, those issues appear at 18 months postpartum. They're like, well, I wasn't having these issues when I just had my kid. Why is this happening now? And they maybe don't realize that they pushed themselves too fast, too soon, and didn't take the time to like truly connect with their new body or the way their body is after birth. And then those, and I think leading up to all of those things kind of tie together because how you can definitely push yourself in preconception and prenatal times, but there's also time to dial it back. And I think I'm notorious for wanting to overdo. I will overdo with the best of them, and I don't know how to dial it back. So that's where BirthFit helped me, where to go forward or backwards, and where I should push and where I should pull back from. So I think that's probably the biggest downside, or they just don't return to anything because they're scared. That's probably top three.
I think you hit on a few things there that I want to highlight because obviously for me, I've been a personal trainer for over 20 years now. And to be honest with you, I've worked with a lot more female clients than I have male clients. And I've actually kind of like in my later years now found a niche with more guys than gals. But that wasn't always the case. And so I had multiple clients that I worked with either in a prenatal setting or same clients could have been even after that in a postpartum situation. And I'm grateful for I was able to work a lot of physical physical therapist in my earlier years as a trainer, so I was equipped maybe more effectively than some other personal trainers, especially as guys, no offense. I've never had a baby. I don't know what's happening with your body, but I will say that even with those clients that had a coach, it was a place to navigate because you, at least back then, and I know sometimes have changed a little bit when it comes to physicians as well, but back then it was, well, you can't get your heart rate over this amount of heart rate here, and you can't lift over 20 pounds. And, that was just the limitations. And so you had a client that was used to exercising a lot, getting told, hey, we're not, I don't even know what you can do with me, Josh, because I have this 20-pound weight limit and I'm not supposed to get my heart rate over this amount. So, and maybe they would keep exercising. But then I actually think the other piece to that is then after pregnancy, even if they had a good prenatal experience in exercise, I think one of the really hard things is like you wind up working with some strong, fit ladies through pregnancy, and then they get out and they move into the postpartum journey, and things are just different.
Mhm.
And that was really hard, not so much to navigate the physical, because the physical side of things, like I could always dial things back for them. But for them to dial things back mentally, emotionally, all of those pieces, like that's just a lot to battle. And so that's why I want to talk a little bit about this program, because like you have been specifically trained in this from a certification process, but you've also walked this in really a 30-month time frame, right? 9 months of pregnancy into 20 months of now being a mom and navigating the postpartum journey. So like that level of experience is huge when it comes to helping other mothers navigate this well. So I want to talk about BirthFit and just like what is BirthFit, and let's just start there, okay? And maybe let's add that into like who it's for and who would benefit from it.
Yeah. So I get asked all the time, like, what is BirthFit? Is it a workout? Is it rehab? Is it for the brand new mom? Is it for the mom that's got a 5-year-old? And I hate the response of it depends, but the 5-year-old mom might have all the same reoccurring symptoms of like pelvic floor issues going on because they did not get the proper rehab early enough in their postpartum that they may fit great in the class with the BirthFit community. And then they also, that's the whole point of the entire group, is the community anyways. That's what most of my, when I asked my moms to give me a response as to what do you love most about BirthFit, they're like, just you and the community. And I'm like, no, not just me, but it is the community, because then they can bounce all those ideas and questions and things all off each other, which is so great. But BirthFit in itself is designed to help women through preconception, birth, and postpartum learn how to breathe, to reconnect with their core, learn how to strength train so that they can be prepared to have whatever form of birth they're wanting, a natural birth, a low use epidural birth, whatever path they're going for, even if they know they're going to end up in a C-section scenario. BirthFit is designed to help you navigate all those scenarios that can come up before you even have your kid. Then postpartum, it's truly designed to help you slow down so that you can check back in with yourself, reconnect with where you're at, and allow you to progress as slowly or as quickly as you need to, because every single mom is going to be on a completely different progression. No matter if they have the kid on the exact same day, they are going to have a whole wave of different things come up that are going to change their journey from one mom to the next, from one pregnancy to the next. So just because my first go around of being pregnant and having my son was as perfect as it probably could have turned out to be, my next pregnancy or any other pregnancies could be so vastly different from that. You just can't ever hope that they're all the same. And that's the scary part for moms, and kind of cool, because then if you had not a great experience the first go around, the second one could be 100 times better, which is what one of my moms has said. She did a prenatal training with me the second time around and was able to do postpartum training. And she said that tenfold helped her second pregnancy. Can I say that for a fact? I don't know. She could have just had better luck the second time around or better fate in her path. But I think definitely moving her body didn't hurt her in any way. So that's the best part about it.
Tell me a little bit more about like why is this important to you? Like, I mean, obviously you're a mom, I know that, and you're a trainer in that, but like, what made this more of a thing where you were like, you know what, I really want to do this with other moms. Like, what made this so important for you?
Honestly, kind of, I know we're supposed to be talking about BirthFit, but coaching the legends and watching my 55 and older community have all potentially some pelvic floor issues that they were told to ignore, to not worry about, that that's just happens with aging, that that's just normal postpartum. Oh, you must have had a kid. That's why you pee when you laugh and jump, which is 100% not even the case. Sometimes that happens for a lot of other reasons, not even for a birth perspective. And so listening to them just accept this bait of all of these issues that could possibly be resolved as early as 18 months postpartum if you did have a kid. That's what stirred it in me to like, I want to make sure that I'm taking care of my pelvic floor health and my core health and my, you know, postpartum rehab, I should say, as best to my ability so that I can say, no, that's not okay to have those symptoms in your 50s and 60s just because the doctors are saying, oh, that's normal. Everyone your age has that.
Hmm.
So I wanted to help the people in their younger years to not have that in their older years.
Yeah. I mean, it's so important when you think about that. Is like just the awareness of that has changed in, I remember that, like, when I was a kid, like, I remember, like, it was like a joke, with my aunt, it was like, "Oh, well, I can't jump. I pee when I jump," whatever. I didn't think anything of it. I was like, "Okay, sounds good." This must happen when you get old, And at the time, I mean, heck, my aunt wasn't even old yet, right? Like, but that's just something that was just um, acceptable. And I think more and more what's occurred is we're becoming more aware of like, no, it doesn't have to be acceptable. There are things that can be done.
Hmm.
And there's not only preventative measures when it comes to our prenatal side of things, but there's also postpartum rehabilitation. I think that's really important that you mentioned that. Is like it's a rehabilitative type process for everybody. And obviously, like, yes, we're working in a fitness environment, but we also have physical therapists that we lean into for more intense cases. Like, we very much have those in other lanes that serve our ladies, and which is extremely helpful. So tell me a little bit about, like, obviously you told us kind of what BirthFit is. Tell me a little bit about the class structure and how that really works. And also I like the fact that you hit on the fact that this is like there is a community piece to this. It is a small group that works together. But tell me a little bit about like kind of that how that all flows in a class scenario.
So I changed our wording on how, like, our what our warm up is, what our core is, what our conditioning is. And the way BirthFit set it up. So I did BirthFit early postpartum. I did it actually before I had my son. I did their workouts. They call their warm ups a mind body connection. So they use their warm up as a they incorporate breath work. There's always some type of breathing piece that gets put into the warm up. There's a there's there's about 10 to 12 BirthFit basic movements that I throw into every single mind body connection. And the way they use it is more of like we use our warm ups for CrossFit to be warmed up to do the movement you're about to do. We use the BirthFit basic movements to say, this does not feel good today. So I need to make sure I let the coach know, or if you're at home, make your modification then to check in, which is what we would do in class anyways. But you use it more like to get your mind ready to decide if you're going to work out. You can use the warm up and be like, I'm done. This is all I've got for today is these BirthFit basic movements. I'm doing the warm up. I'm not feeling good. I'm still not feeling good after I've warmed up. And then I've had mamas that just hang out with us the rest of class if that's where they're at. Or they're like, I just have not had good sleep today. I'm going to do a few of the strength movements and move on. That's fine too, because the whole point is that you get a time dedicated to yourself, which is probably the other thing that where do moms struggle? Time. They don't have 1 hour to themselves. So it is 1 hour. Even if they did, 3 of the warm up movements and laid on their mat for an hour, what a great use of their time.
Right. Right.
I hope you do get to do that sometimes. So, mind body connection, there's always a core piece built in, and that core piece can be modified or scaled to just breathing and relearning diaphragm breath for like the newest mom to class can be a great check in for mom and baby if they're pregnant. Then we have strength, where there's strength movements designed for a hinge, a squat, a press, something of the main basic movements that we would do every day. And then our conditioning piece, this is where I struggled early on was like, can I have pregnant moms come to class and do this piece? Can I have postpartum moms doing it together? And in the end, my answer to that is yes, because my pregnant moms need to prep for labor. So no
Absolutely.
matter what movements are, they need to be able to do something hard for 90 seconds because that's how long the main chunk of contractions start to be. So I need them to be able to do hard things for 90 seconds. Then I need them to be able to breathe and rest for 90 seconds to do hard things again for 90 seconds. So yeah, they can do what the postpartum moms are doing because the postpartum moms can do 90 seconds of something hard, 30 seconds of rest, and then do 90 seconds of hard again because now they're trying to like re-engage their endurance and get their engines going again so that they can keep up with a toddler in 6 months, keep up with 2 kids for all I know. That's the beauty of the conditioning piece. I struggled to think like, can I put them together? And then I was like, oh yeah, absolutely. Just one might be changed in the middle of the workout, and that's okay. So that's what I
Yeah.
like about.
I well, and I'm lucky because I'm usually around when these classes are going on, so I get to see, how you do things, and I think you do a tremendous job. But I think one of the pieces is like I think if there's anybody listening to this, like, well, yeah, but I that's not I couldn't do that. What you'll see in the women that are in these groups is that all of them are at varying situations, right? We had one that was like getting ready to pop. And then
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, like she's in with the baby and the pumpkin seed. And then the other two are like running around the gym and they're at different phases too. Right. But everyone, as you mentioned, well, I'll dial back from the other thing that you said earlier that I latched onto is like, listen, I don't know if this exact program is what made this client's, pregnancy easier the second time around, but gosh darn it, like the exercise stuff didn't hurt, right? And same thing when it comes to, mind you, somebody might get a little bit concerned when they're thinking conditioning. Like, well, yeah, you need to be conditioned to like
Hmm.
the conditioning isn't like doesn't mean you're going out and running sprints with the football team over here. Like conditioning means you need to be prepared in conditioned, in condition for what you're about to embark on when it comes to, actual labor, right?
Yeah.
But then also, being able to, in a healthful way, because as you mentioned, what happens to some of these people that want to get back and bounce back, right? They go too hard, too fast to where it's like, now you need to be conditioned in a way to push your body in a safe and effective way to slowly layer on getting in better shape again, getting some calories burned, getting, the thing I love is like one of the things about our relationship with our core. I don't think I've ever had a relationship with my core, by the way. I love the way you phrase that, but it is truly, it is relearning how your body moves now post pregnancy versus how it did prior to. It's also learning how your body moves during pregnancy, right? Because what's the crazy thing? All of a sudden, you just have this load in front of you, and you're like, well, my balance is off, and your joints become more lax. Like all these other pieces that happen, and what you're doing with these women in that mind body connection is really helping them to hone in on like, how do I feel today? Because like you mentioned, how many moms really get an opportunity to stop and think about that? Right.
Mm, hardly ever.
Right. Right. They're
And if you
always more
plan
concerned
it,
about everybody else.
going out the window. Yeah. If you
Yeah.
plan to have that minute, it's gone.
No, absolutely. So Have you had any, like, obviously we started this program in May, and so in the long term, it's not been a really long time. But have there been any like key points for you that have been some really good bright spots for you when it comes to the women that you have an opportunity to work with? And maybe I know you've mentioned a little bit, a couple of things already, but any bright spot type situations that really just made you feel good about why we're doing this program?
From a baby perspective, one of my moms, the baby when they started, they've been in their 5 months. Watching their baby grow has been so cool. So like from being just this potato laying on the ground,
Yeah.
now walking and stuff in class is so fun. So I love when the littles get to come and watch their moms work out. I think that's amazing. I asked for some like testimonials and I got some good feedback on just like I am wanting these classes and they're doing exactly what I wanted. I wanted to take the anxiety out of what do you need to do to come back to do whatever you want to do. And that's what almost all of them responded with. I no longer have anxiety on what I can and cannot do because I can do everything. And when I started, I had no idea if I could do anything. So to go from not sure if you could do anything to doing whatever you want is that's an amazing accomplishment for all my mamas in the class because I would hate to always be afraid to pick up your kid or not sure if you're going to be able to carry your son or daughter or whatever weight they get up to. Suddenly now you accidentally are at home doing squats with them because they watch you do it in class and they want you to do them with them. So I think that that's probably my greatest thing to watch. But then hearing like the other side of like how a mom who's had 4 kids no longer has prolapse issues and things like that, that had been a major concern when they started, the confidence to even go on runs and things like that, that would have been like a far fetched idea from them from the beginning. So just things like that would be my most exciting wins out of all those classes is just knowing that they get to go do whatever they want to do with the confidence to do it all the time.
One thing I want to ask, I obviously already know this a little bit, but I want to ask this for a listener. Is the expectation that someone stays in BirthFit forever? What's been your experience with how people have come in and then, what's happened as they've gone through?
So the best part about our gym is that there's so many avenues anyone can go. So if they begin in birth fit and they are now 6 months after or 6 weeks after, and they're like, I'm feeling really good. I'm a new mom, but I'm going back to work and now I need to go somewhere else or do something else. We have class options that they can go do something else. And I'm confident after 6 weeks of doing the birth fit workouts that we do, that they are going to be just fine in any of the other classes they end up in. I would love for people to stick in birth fit for at least 6 weeks because I think that gets them the most learning opportunity out of everything I can put in, which is why we run those 6 week kind of cycles that we do or courses that we drop people into. I think in the 6 weeks, you get enough touches on enough movements to be like, oh, you start to know what you're doing too. That's always nice to know like what you're walking into. So I think that's 6 weeks is like the short end of it. And sure, you can stay till your kid's 6 years old for all I care. We'll just do a workout every week. That's fine. So
So
yeah.
if someone was interested in getting started, um, how would that start for them? Like what would be the process?
So generally we always like to meet with someone one on one to make sure it's a good fit. So definitely meeting with me, making sure even if it's in person or a phone call, just to touch base and make sure that it's a good fit and that they're at the right spot in their pregnancy, no underlying conditions or anything. Not that that doesn't mean you can't then work out. I just like to know what I'm walking into with a class. And then postpartum, I generally, and the way BirthFit recommends it would be like at least 6 weeks of what they have their own program called the lying in period. They really do want you to just be slow for 6 weeks, like just be with you and your baby. And I do think that that is where people miss the mark because they want to go so fast, so quickly. So at least be 6 weeks postpartum before you hop into classes. But after you're in the 6 week mark, And then that's another gray area because doctors will be like, 6 weeks, you're good, magic. And that's not always
Right.
the case. But that's why the class is designed the way it is. Because then you might be 6 weeks, come in and do the warm up, and then need to be the mama that lays there and hangs out with the other babies for the next hour. That's great because then you at least got some movement in, but it wasn't too much on your body for that day. Because you still have to go be a mom for a 6 week old or a 7 week old. Like, it's totally different than a 7 month old and an 8 month old. Like, it's vastly different. So you have to make sure you're going at the right pace. But 6 weeks postpartum is great to come in and join and do exactly what you need to do that day.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. And like you mentioned, anybody that starts with us, we do an initial consultation. And obviously for our BirthFit program, we have you run those primarily because, you're our in-house expert on these things. But I think that's really important that you said that is like, hey, we obviously want to help everybody, but we also want to make sure that we're the right fit for where you're at in your pregnancy or postpartum, and the other thing too is that, we make it really easy for someone is we just start you out with a 6 week program and, so that, we can do that and, we even have options to do that in a one-on-one setting versus a group setting if that's something that someone's more comfortable with. And so, but from there, what's been really cool for me to see, I just get to see it from the outside, obviously, is that, and you mentioned this, for these women going through this program, even if they say, hey, I'd still like to stay in this program a little bit because I like the community aspect. I like having these touches with you that you can continue to hone in on my skills. And like it's that reset type, spot every week that they can come to. But to see them branch out into other programs that we have with
Yeah.
confidence, I think is the big thing. I think that's huge because again, if what ends up happening if someone doesn't have that confidence is that they just become inactive. And that's we all know that that's not the answer to long-term health. It's not going to be the answer to them being the best mom, the best wife, whatever else. And so I that's one thing that's been really encouraging to me is yeah, maybe they stay in this for 6 weeks, maybe they stay in it for 6 months, but what's most important is that they leave. If they do leave, they leave with confidence to be able to go and continue on their fitness journey with the foundation that you guys have built in BirthFit. So,
Yeah.
well, listen, this was great. I really appreciate you coming on and talking a little bit more about this program. I'm sure it won't be the last time we talk about it. I know it's become a really popular thing, and I just I love it because there are not enough resources out there for either prenatal moms or moms that are, and I think the other thing too is even maybe some moms that maybe they're 2 or 3 years out from having a baby but have never really found that answer for them. I still think that this is a safe environment for them to be able to re-engage in a fitness program. Or let's be honest, maybe that's a mom that never even embarked on a fitness journey prior to pregnancy, and so for them to then
Yeah.
step into a gym later on for the first time when they're in a whole new body and a whole new phase of life, that can be really scary. And so I really hope that someone listening to this, if they are feeling that way, that they've been encouraged that this is a safe environment for them to come into.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. Anything else you want to leave
You.
anybody before we step out here? Did we
No, I
cover
mean,
it all?
I think we covered it all. One of our biggest things is you don't have to be fit to be here. You just have to come and show up.
That's right.
We take care of the rest. So,
Yep, we love it. So, well, thanks so much, Alyssa. We really appreciate you jumping on today, and we'll talk to you soon.
yeah, thanks.